Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, Erev Tov, continuing with the Hilchot Lashon Hara, we're on Klal Hey, Halacha Gimel. The Chafetz Chaim is going to speak about now and dispel the notion that if somebody makes, fun of someone's shortcomings, someone might say, it's really not so bad, it's not disparaging him, it's not the end of the world. That's what he addresses now. Let me ask you a question, he says, my brother. Al devar pitui hayetzer, regarding the yetzer's, the evil inclinations argument. Shedavar ze enenu bichal lashon hara. That if you speak about someone's shortcomings, we spoke about not so smart, not so wealthy, whatever it is, midah that he has, you say, the Yetzer Hara is going to say, it's not your fault. Shetivchan be'atzmecha. I want you to test yourself, how you would react. Im mitvada alecha beverur, when you discover, she'echad pirsem alecha lanashim shencha chacham. Let's say you find out that somebody said about you, you're a burro, you're a hamor. You got nothing up there. Or some other shortcoming. How much resentment would you feel towards that person who said that about you? You are sure to think about him. What possible signs of foolishness could he see in me? None. I don't have. Everybody thinks of themselves to be a great person. Everyone is chacham in their own eyes. It must be that the speaker is so mean-spirited and a baal lashon hara, his desire is only to disparage and belittle others. So when you're the subject of those remarks, you know what it feels like. So when you turn the tables and you do this to your friend and you speak about his shortcomings, even though that he's probably greater than you in many other areas in life. La'Hashem ve'la'biriyot, both in his dealings with Hashem and his dealings with people. You don't think of it as anything wrong. You don't consider it a sin. Look at the blindness that there is in this matter. When you look at it carefully, you'll discover that a lot of this speech involves lots of lashon hara. They're much more serious than what you will normally find in other types of negative speech. Number one, from the standpoint of the actual speaker, this is because in other cases when Reuven speaks about Shimon, that he went and he ate the McDonald's cheeseburger, or whether he, committed fraud against his friend, it's quite common. The reason why Reuven said that is because he wanted to uphold the truth. He wanted to protest this avera, the fact that he ate the cheeseburger. Even though that halachically you're not allowed to do it, like we spoke about earlier, and in this sif as well. But at least his intentions weren't bad. Not so in this case, when you're making fun of the guy's lack of chokhmah or other types of midah, when you speak about Shimon's shortcomings, the only intent that you have is to disparage him and belittle him. And this is a deplorable character trait. As it's written in Sha'arei Teshuvah, written by Rabbeinu Yonah. Also, this form of Lashon Hara is worse even mitzad HaMekabel, mitzad the listener. For the other types of Lashon Hara that are mentioned, lo yitkabel tekef devarav. Reuven's words are not going to be believed by the listeners as fact. Uvadai yu harbe me'ashom'im sheishivu, and many of the listeners are going to respond about this report that Shimon ate a cheeseburger. What they're going to say? As long as we didn't see him eat the cheeseburger, lo na'amin. We're not going to believe you. We're not going to believe what you have to say. Uvadai ma shesiparta afi metu. And even if what you reported is true, mistama haya is this siba sheviola zeh. It's probably a reason why he had that cheeseburger. Okay, whatever it is, we're going to try justifying the actions. Maybe the teshuvah ki bipshuto. But at the face value, it's impossible to believe what you said about Shimon. So people are going to doubt what Reuven said about Shimon. And if it's later discovered that the story was false, therefore Reuven is going to be disgraced. He's going to be humiliated because he was caught in a lie. He said that Shimon ate a cheeseburger and it wasn't true. He slandered a person. And therefore, there are many times that in a normal case of Lashon Hara, when a person says so-and-so did this avera, the mekabel, the listeners are not going to accept. They're not going to want to believe it. Aval bezeh. But in this case, when Reuven speaks about the chamor levels of Shimon, if that's the situation, even if Reuven belittles Shimon's shortcomings and he announces to everybody that he is foolish and ignorant, he's going to make Shimon an object of ridicule, an object of degradation in the eyes of all the people of the city. It's still very common what do we see? That most of the time people don't stand up for Shimon. They let the guy talk. They let the guy continue to disparage and make fun of him, and no one's going to stop this guy and say, hey, Reuven, that's not true. Shimon is not like that. He's a smart guy. He sits there and he studies Torah. No, we just let him talk. No one says have consideration for the dignity of this Jew. Why do you debase him so severely? So therefore, when this type of Lashon Hara is worse as the result. And about this speaker, we apply the pasuk achla umachta piha ve'amra lo pa'alti aven. Pasuk Mishle. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I did not commit an offense. Right? So after she finished eating the cheeseburger, she wipes her mouth and says, "No, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything wrong." So you heard the disparaging remarks. You heard him belittle Shimon, and you just sat there and stayed quiet and said, "Oh, I don't know." So he has a little haggah over here, and then we'll conclude. He writes the following. He says, if one's intention in making a comment is to quell an argument, okay, then it's permitted to speak about someone's shortcomings. Kegon, he writes, Shehu ro'eh li Reuven sheyesh lo sinal Shimon. Let's say Levi notices that Reuven has, he doesn't like Shimon. There's some ill feelings towards Shimon. Alezi davar she'asalo, because of something that Shimon did to Reuven, or he spoke against him badly. Mutar lo lomar li Reuven. It's permitted for Levi to tell Reuven shelo nitkaven bekol zeh leatriz negdo, that Shimon did not intend with everything that he did to you to antagonize him. Rak sibat shtuto garmalo. It was just because Shimon, he acted foolishly. So even though he said that Shimon acted foolishly or he has some foolishness, okay, and that's the reason why he did that, he did it without thinking, the reason why it's allowed is in order to alleviate the sim'ah that is inside Reuven's heart. Not only are you allowed to do so, he says it's a mitzvah for him to do so. So bring down a scenario over here, and with this will end. Your husband's new manager constantly berates him. You reassure him by reminding him that he has always been successful in his field and suggesting that the boss is on a power trip. Speaking against someone who is abusive is permitted for the purpose of comforting the victim, but proactive strategies are needed to prevent the problem from becoming an ongoing one. Very delicate situation, of course, and we always have to watch, especially when it comes to being demeaning or degrading to someone about some qualities that he has. First of all, be humble and look at yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Usually when you see something negative about someone else, often that's the problem within you that you have to deal with. And we can see how severe the ramifications are for a person who does so. B'ezrat Hashem will continue next week.